Hello and welcome to Disc Review, the podcast that goes track by track through a different album each week.
And we're your hosts, Max and Matt. Join us as we explore some of our favorite records.
No, I'm a fan, I swear.
I feel like I've become a music normie.
I'm tired of being Mr. Positive guy.
Dude, that's not humor.
This is certifiably the most boring album I've ever heard.
And there's a reason they don't do it, because it's terrible.
We hope you enjoy the show. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, welcome to Disc Review. We're excited to get into this. And you know what? When we first started this podcast, we really wanted to make a music podcast that gave honest opinions, because we felt like there was a lot of music reviewers out there who kind of just said that everything was good, just to appease everybody. And I didn't realize how hard it would be to commit to that kind of until today. We were asked multiple times by a listener named Goob to review Hail the Sun, a band which neither of us had ever heard of. And we really wanted to give this person what they asked for, so we decided to review their newest album, New Age Filth. And upon doing so, I realized that I didn't really like the album very much. So it's going to be a really weird conversation talking about this album that was requested that I don't have too many good things to say about. What do you think, Matt?
Well, yeah, I mean, we also started this wanting to build a music community where you can come and hear about albums you want to hear about. And we want to start doing that for the community. You know, we're not going to get to every single suggestion, but this is a little fan treat. This is a music style we're familiar with, though, at least. Not the band, but we know I've heard plenty of bands like this. I could think of like 10 that I feel like I've heard this album before. So I think that's where, you're coming from when you say, we just feel like we're not sure how this one stands out, but I'm willing to, dive through track by track. I've only listened to it once, so I'm not going to have a ton to say, but, let's just dive right in.
All right, let's do it. Well, before we talk about the tracks, I thought the artwork was pretty okay. I think that it has a lot going on, and so it could benefit from a little simplicity, but I enjoy the primitive look. I think it's got cool coloring. What did you think about the artwork here?
It's classic for the genre. Some kind of edgy drawings, I feel like, is very on brand. And I think this is a good, attempt at that.
All right. Well, the first track is Domino, coming in with definitely the most streams. And I kind of came up with a theory about why that might be. I think there's two reasons an opener song might have the most streams on a record. Number one, if the song is really, really good. And number two, if people are opening up this album, clicking on the first one and deciding they don't want to listen to the rest of them.
Well, it was a lead single. It is going to have the most. It just, you usually don't put the lead single on the first spot. So
that's true.
It seems like they just threw it on the top spot.
Yeah, but Domino has some good energy, and I like the line, "If you love me, then love me to death." I think my problem with this song is, and kind of the whole album, is that the instrumentals especially feel just kind of disorganized and chaotic, and it gives it kind of a messy feel that's hard to distinguish the songs from each other.
Yeah, I mean, they're using, similar techniques pretty, repeatedly on a lot of these songs, which I agree. I think this is a good example of something we've talked about for a while, and I don't know how much we've talked about on the channel, but just a band that feels like they need to do one thing. They're in this one genre, especially true of this genre. A little bit heavier, where they have to do that same thing every song to be part of the genre, to fit in, to please the fans. And I think we've proven with a lot of the records that we've reviewed and the ones we think are good, they break out, they do something different. Of course, they do give the fans what they want. They got that staple of the genre, but not every track on the album should be just that exact style. And especially with this style, I think it's really, really hard to have even a good chorus shine through, because there's so much going on. Like you said, the guitars are so intense all over the place that I think if I could just hear that, vocal melody and just kind of sit with it, maybe I'd think, this is actually a really good melody. I don't have any opinions either way because I can't really mesh with the melody, especially with one listen. I think if you really got into bands like this, I think you could pick apart that melody and really deconstruct and understand it and really like it. But on first listen, it's like I don't even know what's going on.
Right. Yeah. I think that this album lends itself to fans who are gonna stream it repeatedly and get a lot out of it. For first-time listeners, it can be a little bit more difficult to get through and remember what's going on and pick things out. But that kind of continues with the next song, Slander. This song has some morbid lyrics set up in a poetic way, which kind of reminds me of like early Chiodos, a band which I was really into. And I'm sure their success influenced this band in some way.
It's pretty Chiodos.
Mm-hmm. I think the reason I struggle so much with this album is because it doesn't sound unique enough. Like I see the influences a little too strongly, and I can, like you said, I can name several bands that do this sound almost exactly like this. And it kind of reminds me of like high school bands, right? Because like when you're first starting out as a musician and you form a band in like high school era, you're kind of just trying to make music that sounds like the artist that you like, which is not a problem. You're learning, you're getting your stuff all put together, and this band kind of just sounds a little bit like they haven't hit their stride yet, right? They haven't gotten to the point where they're making something that truly sounds unique to them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's too much of a style that I've heard so much that's done, to death, but also it's not doing anything. It's not innovating on that style. It's just that style again, and I'm already kind of jaded with the problems, which, this album has too, where every song basically sounds the same with, I think, one exception, which we'll get to. But this one is probably Slander, probably my least favorite. It's just really generic, and the heavy breakdowns don't hit for me on this. And this is probably the heaviest breakdown on the album.
The third song is Solipsism. I like the name. It reminds me of freshman year in college taking philosophy. Do you know much about solipsism?
No, fill me in.
It's basically the idea that you can only really prove that you are real because you only have access to your sensory experiences. So there's no way to prove that everyone else isn't basically just an NPC.
A lot of people live like
not
that,
really.
To be honest with
you. Yeah. It's it's interesting to think about. I think obviously it's not the most groundbreaking philosophy. Lots of people have thought about it. But as far as the song goes, I think that the chorus is one that caught my attention a little bit more than the previous choruses. I like, the main part where he just sings Euphoria. It's a little catchier, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, this was one of the highlights for me. I was really vibing with, I couldn't really tell, I think it's like the bridge/outro section. He just gets a lot of motion in with some much better, I think it's the outro, but just some great melodies that really stand above and just make this one stand out for me for sure.
Then we have Misfire. Some of the lines in Misfire are pretty good, especially in the verse, but I actually did not enjoy the chorus on this one. I think that they could have done something a little bit better there. I also have to give this one props for actually sounding a little bit different from some of the other songs. I think it's mainly the bass line here that does that in the song. That's just what I picked out.
Yeah, and the bridge, it does some cool things with some production. It kind of mellows out the sound, and you get some thumping drums and some cool production effects on the guitar that make it stand out. That's really the part that I latched onto.
Now we have Made Your Mark. This one is probably my favorite on the album. I like the melody of the chorus and the message of the song about two people who meet at a time when they're both kind of broken and they help each other to heal a little bit. And he says, even if they end up going their separate ways, he wants them to know that they really left their mark on him. So yeah, this one's stand out to me. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I like the lyrics a lot better on this one. I feel like it's painting a little bit of a story, and I can kind of follow along a little better, and I appreciate that.
Now we have Slipped My Mind. The beginning of this song made me think that it was gonna, start slowing down here, slow down the record a bit. And then it just picked right up and kind of did what all the other songs do. I just think it was a wasted opportunity to kind of break up the album with something different. And instead, we just got a song very similar to the rest.
Yeah, not my favorite. I agree. I think there's a worse offender of that problem. But this one just gets really, really heavy and chaotic in a way that I wasn't vibing with as much. This one did not stand out for me.
And we have Parasitic Cleanse. With a name like this one, I figured it was going to be a little bit heavier, and I was right. But I was really confused about some of the lines here. Let me know if any of this makes sense to you. These are the first lines in the song, okay? It says, fusion, fission, 86, 815, burning solemn. Like, what does any of that mean? Please let me know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of bands do this, but they just kind of write. It's just a line, right? It's just like it doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of like edgy imagery, edgy words put together. You know, we prefer a little bit more cohesion, and I'm like really good with songs being open to interpretation, having multiple meanings based on what you want to get out of it, but it needs to be coherent and have something that we can deconstruct and understand and arrange in a way that makes sense. I haven't done enough research on this song particularly to say whether or not that's possible, but I think a lot of bands who do write in that way, it's not possible. And we talked about this on Owls and Glaciers, where it's just like they just thought this sentence was cool.
Yeah.
But then you put like 30 sentences that were cool together. Well, but the song doesn't mean anything. There's no meaning to the song. It's just like some things you wrote down in your journal, kind of hodgepodge together, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if anyone who knows this band better than us can like tell us, well, no, it actually means this because of, this and this, I would definitely be open to hearing that. I've just kind of come to the conclusion that a lot of lyricists just have no idea what they're doing. They're kind of just saying stuff. All right. The next is Hysteriantics. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Hysteriantics. The lyrics of this one make me think it's about a guy who's sad about a girl, and so he just does some drugs and trips balls, because all the lines are, about the room spinning and like pictures talking to him and stuff. I had fun with some of the heavier parts where he's screaming, kind of tailored a bit to the things I like. But to be honest, I think that the best part of the song was the bridge, where it slows way down for a second. And then kind of explodes with energy. You don't get a lot of ups and downs on this record. It's kind of just a constant go, go, go.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, you know what? Let's bring it to the next song, because this is where it finally does slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was impressed. I didn't think it was coming, especially this deep. This is the, second to last song. But it's got this kind of slow. I mean, it's still got guitar, but. And just, I know it's mostly piano, huh? But it kind of reminds me of something like Chiodos, Intensity 10 Cities, where it just slows way down with the huge piano ballad. But I guess I was just a little disappointed that they brought back the heavy guitar at all. Mm-hmm. And it kind of just jumps back up, and we're doing what we were doing before. I think they should have committed to that style and just let a song be different, because it desperately needed that.
Yeah, and the song we're talking about here is Devaluation. What I wrote is finally a slow song. Yeah. I think it would have served the album better to put it a little earlier, so that the songs don't blend together so much with the same energy and same tone. I think this song was a good choice, but some bands could really use some lessons on album order and what that actually contributes to the art form, because I feel like a lot of musicians just kind of get to the part where they've wrote a bunch of songs and they just slap them together without really thinking too much about their order, which I think is a big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle to know what, to say to bands in this genre, because I think the whole genre is like this. I don't think that there's any one offender, that's particularly bad, but they just kind of all do this where they throw a bunch of the same songs together on an album. Doesn't matter the order, it doesn't matter what they're trying to say really overall, and it doesn't stand out to me. I'll give them a couple listens, I've run through some of them, and I'm like, okay, I like, because I like the edgy vibes, atmosphere that this genre creates. I get that. It just hasn't had the sustainability and the longevity, I think, of putting in that uniqueness, variety, and cohesion to your lyrics that I think, can make a band a mainstay.
The last song on the record and the closer here is Punch Drunk. there is a part of this song in the chorus where he does this really fun wavy thing with his voice that I really enjoyed. I thought it was actually something to make the song memorable. The verses sound kind of just like all the other verses on the record. So as a whole, I thought this song was a decent choice for the closer, but that's only because I don't really see any better options.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to put at the end here. This is just one of the more solid songs, so sure, it's fine going here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Matt, give me your thoughts on this record as a whole.
Kind of given a lot of overall thoughts, I feel like, throughout. But in general, I think that it's pretty middle of the road for this genre. I'm not really like offended by it, but I'm also not like, this is something to, change the game. This is another one of those records. I've heard plenty of them, and we'll hear plenty more. I think I just urge, look for some variety, because I think that these songs just don't stand out enough. And I think a really good example of this was Sleep Token, who are kind of in the same vein. They've got that heavy kind of crazy guitar stuff, but when they mix it up, I can't believe how much that stands out. Songs like Fall For Me are so good, so different, break up that record, and those are the ones I remember and I think keep fans around. I think that's all. That's a perfect example of what I'm kind of feeling.
Yeah, I think this album is one where it's stuff that I wish that I enjoyed more than I did, because I'm sure if you got really into this band, there'd be quite a bit of substance there for you to latch onto. But it's really hard to get into a band like this because of the way they format every song so similarly. So yeah, New Age Filth, I probably won't be returning to it, but I'm very glad that there are listeners in our, to our podcast that like this stuff. I think it's great for them. I hope you continue liking it. I hope you're not going to unsubscribe, Goob, since we didn't have too much good things to say about it. But all right, before we end this here, let's play a little quick game. I didn't have very much time to put this together. Well, I did have time. I just forgot, and I didn't spend too much time on it. But we're going to play a classic censored version of F, Marry, Kill. So I'm gonna give you. I have two different categories here. So the first category is going to be popular rap. All right. So Matt, F, Marry, Kill, Jay-Z, Drake, or Lil Nas X.
Well, not a big Drake fan. Guess I'm to put him in the kill slot. But I'm gonna marry Jay-Z for the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, we all know maybe he won't be faithful in said marriage, but I'm marrying him for the money.
Right. You're not there for his love.
Which leaves Lil Nas X in the F spot. I assume that's what you imagined I'd say.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking. I mean, Lil Nas X, fits right in that F spot because he's such a beautiful man. But as far as Drake goes, he is the certified lover boy.
That's true.
If we're being fair, but I do think I'm gonna kill Drake because I want Jay-Z's money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This next section is Isles and Glaciers edition. So Vic, Craig, and Johnny.
Well, Craig, I believe, was canceled. Easy spot there in the kill spot. Shoot. But between the two, I don't think there's a distinction. They're pretty similar in my mind. But Vic's so wholesome. He went and got married, having a kid. So I'm gonna marry him because I can trust him.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna marry Vic because he's gonna be a dad. He's responsible.
He's
I imagine he's responsible with his money too. Craig kind of seems.
If you listen to Baddock's channel, he's kind of an F boy, bro. Remember back to that album.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. Is he kind of seems like a guy I can't trust. And he's already sung multiple songs about banging my girl, so I don't know if I could trust him. I have to kill him. And then Johnny, I know the least about, so he can fill that last spot. All right, well, that's all I got. But thank you for listening this week. Hail the sun. We'll have another one for you next week, and please leave some comments about how we did so we can improve, and thank you.